I fucking did it! So the story began 3 years ago. I was watching a video on YouTube about a guy who was making a video on YouTube about another guy who was making a video on YouTube. So the first guy said, everyone can run 5k in 20 minutes. The second guy said, let's check some stats. So he analyzed a lot of park runs and local races, 5k distances, and the story was a bit more complicated indeed. Like the average time for a male runner was like far slower than 30 minutes, and 20 minutes was actually quite an achievement. So maybe it's not that easy, okay, not sure. So I was reflecting on that. Myself, I wasn't a runner at all, and I was thinking, what could I do? You know, like for me it's impossible, 20 minutes. I don't see how I could ever do that. I mean, the first guy is out of his mind. It's not possible. Because to give you the full picture, so when I was a child, 13, 14 years old, before high school, when I was taking part into local cross-country races, I was middle of the pack or even worse, and I was not a couch potato at all. Like I was not running, so I was being active, like for example playing basketball, tennis, skateboard, so a bit intense and burst and then you chill and then fair enough, but I wasn't a couch potato. And also I did some strength training a lot in my life. Like my first push-ups, I was 10 years old. And not a couch potato, but I was very bad at running. For example, when I was in my early 20s in business school, I took part into a local, in the campus, 5k race, and I brought along a friend of mine who was a chain smoker. And if I didn't finish last, it's because I managed to beat my friend by a few seconds. I don't remember the time, but it was more than 30 minutes for sure. Then when I was 28 years old, when I came to London, my employer was providing some accommodation and there was a gym downstairs. I was having a roommate. I was from France, he was from Spain, but this guy was an athlete. He was, he finished marathon multiple times, and he was also very good at bodybuilding. Doesn't matter anyway. He was kind enough to help me start running, and I was running on the treadmill. So as you know, treadmill is far easier than running outdoor. So for example, you have some equivalence table, like if you're running 10 kilometers per hour, so you need to incline by 1%. 15 kilometers per hour, so you need to incline by 3%. I don't remember exactly the table, but that's something like that. And me, I was using 0 incline, so I had it easy. But still, after a few weeks, the best I could do was 33 minutes, I think, for my 5k. And it was a huge struggle. I was red in the face and so forth. And it was very hard. So, yeah, 28 years old and not possible. 29 maybe, I still had a gym in my building, and I tried a semi-Cooper test whereby you run for 6 minutes and you look how long you can run. That's like kind of an assessment of your VO2 max speed. So I started at, again, 0 incline. I started at 14 kilometers per hour. It was too hard, I was struggling. So quickly I changed to switch gear downward to 12 kilometers per hour, and at the end of 6 minutes my average was 13 kilometers per hour. So that was my VO2 max speed on a treadmill, so probably even worse outdoor. So not great at all. As you know, if you followed my beginning running video, then by doing consistent cycling indoor, once or twice a week, 30 minutes chilling with Netflix, plus a bit of kickboxing, martial arts, whatever you call it, When I started running when I was more or less 40 years old, then it was easy to some extent. I was able to run at 8 km per hour and not be struggling. So it was below my lactate threshold. Maybe above my VT1, first ventilatory threshold, I'm not sure. But anyway, at least it was easier than it used to be. So that was a good starting point. And in a couple months, I improved quickly and I managed to run 5K in 25 minutes. So that was more or less my starting point, early 2019. Okay, then I followed a Jack Daniel approach, which means I was running 2 quality sessions per week. So one was a speed session, so most of them I was running times time 400 meters at more or less VO2 max speed. And the other one, and 1 minute recovery, which was a bit too short, but anyway, that's what I did for a while. And the second quality work was tempo or lactate threshold work. So for example, I would run for 20 minutes at whatever pace my Garmin was estimated my lactate threshold speed to be at. And the rest of the runs would have been easy. So 1, 2, maybe 3 sessions, but probably more like 1 or 2. And when I say easy, actually it turns out it was a bit too hot. I didn't realize at the time, but when I look back it was like 80% or something of true max heart rate. That's important because my true max heart rate is 210, which is completely different from 220 minus my age formula. And I'm sure many of you, your true max rate is probably more or less fitting the 220 formula, but for some of you, it will be completely off. So that's why it's important to know the true max heart rate to have a really accurate gauge of the effort you're running at when you look at your heart rate. So yeah, following this kind of Jack Daniel approach, I was improving quite fast. Probably the beginner effect, you always progress very well when you're a beginner. Plus, I think Jack Daniels kind of makes sense, like you're improving whatever the distance, and because it allows for low mileage, low distance, low volume, and still some quality work. I think it's very good to progress at smaller distances like 5K, up to 10K maybe. Then half marathon, I think it's you would need to increase the volume. But anyway, I saw the improvement indeed in shorter distances like 5K, so I went for 25 minutes down to quite quickly 22 minutes in a few months, maybe 5-6 months. And then slowly but surely, after like 1 year, a bit more than 1 year, I hit a very good result, which was 20 minutes and 45 seconds. I was very pleased with that. My longer distances results were not as good. For example, the 10K, I think it was 45, but half marathon was like 2 hours. I didn't try very hard, but I was fading as the distance was growing, that's for sure. And I couldn't run more than 24 kilometers, even very slow. Again, because very slow for me was heart rate, 80% or something like that, quite hot. So anyway, in 5K time, in 5K perspective, that was quite good, the result, except then for a few years, I couldn't improve on my PB. I was improving on longer distances, but not on 5K. I was improving as well on slower, faster distances, like shorter distances, like mile, but maybe that's just because I didn't try before very hard, I don't know. And so, as you know, in a few months, back, I think it was spring 2021, I managed to repeat my PB, so 20 minutes 45, no improvement whatsoever, maybe a few milliseconds. So that was a bit disappointing. And then I had my summer in between, so I will tell about that later. It was a perfect training for me, I think. And as you know, if you watch my other video, 2 weeks back, actually, 2 weeks ago, did a massive PB in the half marathon, so by 11 minutes, from whatever. And so I'm in good shape, that I was certain of that, so I decided I would give it a shot again and try to achieve those damn 20 minutes for 5K. So I plan to do it on Sunday, because Sunday, when I run in the industrial zone, I always try my PBs. There is not many people, but for some reason I had stuff to do on Sunday, so it wasn't convenient. So I did it on Saturday, which wasn't really ideal, because the day before I did 18 kilometers, so a bit too long. You know, the leg not very fresh. Did also some foam rolling on Saturday morning, which is kind of a workout on your muscle, so I'm not sure that's the best if you want to have fresh leg. So anyway, I did it. I mean, I went for my time trial, and also my stomach wasn't feeling too good, and I was feeling a bit, not tired, but a bit slow, or I don't know, not energized. But still, I went out. Okay, I could always do just 3 kilometers and go home and try again the next week. Would simply be a speed session, quality work. So I went out. I did my warm up, and yeah, I wasn't feeling really good. Like my heart rate according to my wrist. No, actually, I was wearing chest strap. Wasn't too great, high heart rate or slow pace, and the feel was not good. So I was thinking about postponing it. But still, okay. Let's at least run a bit and do 3K, and as I said, speed session. So starting it, okay. So first, in the warm up, so I did 30 minutes, because I think I need a very long warm up. Got always a negative cardiac split, meaning my heart rate for the same effort goes down rather than up. Anyway, when I'm below VT1, I'm someone who needs a lot of warm up. So yeah, 30 minutes, and also I did 400 meters, 15 kilometers per hour, to get accustomed to the speed of my target. And it was 400 meters. Usually I do stride a bit faster than that, like 18 or 20 kilometers per hour and shorter. But I didn't want to do that. Why? Because I didn't want to have my leg too poppy, with so much pops. Because when I do that, 3 or 4 strides quite fast, then when I start my 5K time trial, I start too high, too fast, and I don't realize it until I check my watch, and I just down, but maybe it's a bit too late already, I don't know. So anyway, I didn't want to suffer from this issue this time, and so I didn't train my work to be too poppy, to have this speed. And I think that was a good call, because indeed I never went above 16 km per hour at the beginning, and quickly I was doing a bit too slow and feeling fast, which is actually what I wanted because I prefer to start too slow and increase after a while than the other way around. So I started like that, so not a bit, and I stabilized about 15 km/h, a bit faster even. So first kilometer in 3:58 maybe, second one 4:01. So I was very pleased with the split. Then started to be difficult in the third kilometers as usual. So the third kilometers started to be hard as usual. But still my goal was, okay, I don't mind, I ran my 3 kilometers and then I stopped. And then I did it, okay, good achievement. And then it was hard, even harder. Usually that the fourth kilometer was already fade away. But this time I said, no, you don't stop, you don't slow down, you keep carrying. And at least when you finish your 4K, you would have run 4K at 15 km/h, which would have been a big achievement anyway. And a good preparation for another time trial, another time. So I did that. Somehow I managed to get into the flow again. And at the end of the 4 kilometers, I wasn't feeling good, but I wasn't completely dying, so okay. Plus I banked some seconds, like I could do 4:06, 4:09, forgot. Anyway, I had some leeway and still achieved the 20 minutes. So that was really a good omen to finish this race. I knew I had it in me. It was done deal. That's strangely that didn't push me towards slowing down. I was still going as fast as before, and actually even I didn't know, but faster. I didn't check my watch too much, just at the beginning to try and get the pace, but otherwise I didn't watch it too much. And so I was running a good speed, probably more than 15 kilometers, and completely at the end I even sprinted more than 20 km/h just for the last 100 or 200 meters. 1940 minutes, very happy with that. The only issue is that now what's next, do I retire, achieve my dream, do I try to improve this 5K time, do I try to improve other times, like for example a mile, I probably could do better than 5 minutes and 40 seconds. The 10K, clearly I can improve, so I'm at 44 minutes, but clearly I could do, 42 minutes maybe. And then I've got one that is really pending, marathon, so I did more than 5 hours. This one clearly I should do better. So I don't know, but what's important is how did I manage to finally break through this plateau I was suffering for so long. Why was I suffering from the plateau? My suspicion is that for a while I was trying other training method than, let's say, mine. So as I said, the first year I was doing a more or less Jack Daniel approach. It was working quite well for me. I started to improve on 10K once I was following that, plus extending the volume, maybe slowing down a little bit on the easy session. So clearly that was a good formula, but still I wanted to do this 20 minutes for 5K, and decided to follow a speed cycle. You can see the video about that, but basically I followed a plan given by a coach, by someone else, and I stick to the letter, to the plan. Blue in the middle couldn't sustain, it was too hard for me, like 2 speed sessions per week, plus, that's on me, not the coach, I wasn't doing much easy running, and I was building processmyrun.com, the website, at night on top of my work. There probably some kind of burnout. So yeah, instead of increasing my speed at VO2 max, it went downward. So because of that, let's call it overtraining syndrome. Then I decided to follow another coach, and this time the opposite direction. Instead of speed, that would be very slow and easy run, and that was the Maffeton approach. I still think that was the right call, because I was kind of overtrained and it makes sense to do the opposite. So run slow and easy, and when I say slow, in terms of heart rate, true max heart rate, instead of doing 80%, I was targeting 73%, and then slowly went to 70%. I still think that made sense, but that being said, it didn't help me in respect to my 5K at least. I think it helped me for example, that thanks to that accredited method, if I was able to achieve a marathon distance, as slow as it might have been, because before I couldn't go beyond, 28 kilometers, probably that was my limit. And by slowing down, being more able to use fat as a fuel as per the Maffeton method, then I was able to run a marathon full distance, even more, 44 kilometers. But for 5K it didn't help, I think. Struggle about that. So I don't think it's a good idea to follow other people's plan when you've got a methodology works for you. So for me it's let's say Jack Daniels, and more or less trying to increase the volume slowly, reduce a little bit the speed of the easy session, but still keep the quality run, but not more than one speed session and one tempo per week. I can do that, provided the speed session is not too intense, by the way. And also for me, for example, when I increase the volume or the intensity or whatever, I will listen to myself, to my body, and maybe reduce when I feel like it. So I don't follow a 3 weeks, 1 week off, 3 weeks, 1 week off. It's more like I listen to myself and I reduce when I feel like it. Turns out it's more or less those 3 weeks and then off, whatever. But I do it when I feel like it, not because it's the calendar telling me to do it. So anyway, that's what I think works for me, and that's what I did implement again during summer, except this time I completely increased the volume, but that's because I was going so slow. For example, I was doing at the peak 20 hours per week, but with like 10 hours doing bicycle, and by bicycle it's like 65% of true max heart rate. So very, very slow. It was just chilling, visiting the area, and walking even. I registered some of my walks in the forest, because it was 55-60% of true max heart rate, but still it's I think it helped toward my ability to pump harder, the heart rate, the stroke volume would be bigger. Probably it helped build some blood vessel to carry the blood and the oxygen into my muscles. It will help build mitochondria into the muscle to use the fuel and convert that into energy. Probably it will help use more fat and spare glycogen. So all in all, I think that the higher the volume, probably the better. You just need to be smart when you build that up because of injury risk, obviously, and overtraining. But as you can see, it was so low intensity. I think I was safe. Also, I was more or less on holidays, at least for one month, entire month during the holidays, during the summertime. But I think I wasn't too stressed and too much at risk of overtraining. So holidays, low stress. Didn't have more or less anything else to do anyway, so I was enjoying it. And very low intensity for most of the time. So it wasn't 80-20. It probably was 90 to 8% or something like that. Plus in the 92%, most of it was low zone 1. The running, even the running, I mean low zone 2, probably run at 70% these days. For example, I had a friend that I met when I was on holidays with my parents, so a childhood friend, and he's running a bit, consistently, in the sense that it's running maybe once or twice a week. And he told me, "Oh, what are you training at? 5 minutes and 40 seconds per kilometer?" And I said, "No, 7 minutes per kilometer, right?" And so I think he's probably training at 5:45, who knows, something like that. I didn't ask, but probably a bit slower than what he asked me. And he said one day he did 20 kilometers, and I asked him, "Why not 21? Why not finish the half marathon?" I couldn't do it anymore. I was thirsty. So that means, by definition, that it was running faster than half marathon. So when you run faster than half marathon pace, that means that you're very, very fast in your training. That's not what the current consensus is about. At least the 80-20, Jack Daniels, you name it. Most of the high-profile coaches say that when you run your non-quality run, you should be below marathon pace, so let alone half marathon.